I still remember the exact moment my hands tightened on the steering wheel, not because of traffic or weather, but because my gut told me something was wrong, and I couldn't explain why. I was somewhere in the middle of nowhere, rolling west on a long stretch of interstate that all looks the same after midnight. It was close to 2:30 a.m., the kind of hour where the world feels half asleep and you start questioning your own thoughts. I'd been driving since late afternoon, hauling a sealed load that needed to be across state lines by morning. The sky was pitch black, no moon, just a low ceiling of clouds that swallowed the stars. The road hummed under the tires, that steady vibration you feel more in your bones than your ears. I was tired but alert, the kind of tired you get used to in this job, the kind you learn to manage. I expected a quiet night. Just miles, exits, fuel stops, and the dull comfort of routine. I'd done this route dozens of times. Same rest areas, same lonely billboards, same stretches where your headlights feel like they're the only light left in the world. I told myself I'd push another 100 miles before stopping. Nothing fancy. Just another run. That's when I noticed the car. At first, it didn't register as anything unusual. Just a pair of headlights far behind me, steady, not gaining, not falling back. After a while, though, I realized it had been there longer than it should have been. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. No one stays behind a truck that long unless they're stuck, or choosing to. I checked my mirrors again. Same car. Dark-colored sedan. No high beams. No lane changes. Just sitting there, perfectly centered like it was locked onto me. I shrugged it off at first. Maybe they were tired too. Maybe they felt safer following a truck through the dark. But then I changed lanes. So did they. I slowed down slightly, just enough to see if they'd pass. They didn't. That was the first time the back of my neck prickled. I turned the radio down as if that would somehow sharpen my vision. The engine noise felt louder now, the cab smaller. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Long nights mess with your head. A few miles later, I took an exit, one I didn't need, just to test a theory. The sedan took the exit with me. That's when my stomach dropped. The exit led to a 2-lane road, barely lit, cutting through trees and open fields. No businesses. No gas station. Just darkness and the dull glow of my taillights reflecting off road signs. I could feel my pulse in my ears. I kept driving, pretending everything was normal, but my mind was racing. Why follow a truck off the interstate at 2 in the morning? I thought about stopping, about pulling over and letting them pass, but every instinct I had screamed not to. I'm a big guy, but alone in the dark, locked into a truck, you start thinking about how vulnerable you really are. I reached down and cracked the window just enough to let cold air in, hoping it would clear my head. That's when the headlights got closer. Too close. They were riding my trailer now, almost aggressive. I could see the reflection of their lights bouncing off my mirrors. I tapped my brakes lightly, not enough to slow hard, just a warning. They didn't back off. I remember saying out loud, "All right, what do you want?" like they could hear me. A mile down the road, I saw a wide gravel turnout, probably for farm equipment. I made a quick decision. I slowed and eased into it, planning to pull through and get back on the road, maybe force them to pass. They pulled in behind me and stopped. The silence hit hard. No wind. No other cars. Just my engine idling and the faint ticking of cooling metal. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I put the truck in neutral, set the brakes, and waited. The driver's door of the sedan opened. A man stepped out. He stood there for a second, hands at his sides, just a shape against the headlights. I couldn't see his face clearly. He took a few slow steps toward my trailer, then stopped again. Every scenario ran through my head at once. Robbery, road rage, something worse. I locked my doors without even realizing I'd done it. He raised his hands and shouted, "Hey! Hey, truck!" His voice echoed in the open space, too calm for my liking. I didn't answer. He walked closer, staying near the edge of my headlights. "I'm not here to mess with you," he said. "I just need help." I stayed quiet, watching every move. He sounded tired. Not angry. Desperate, maybe. "My phone's dead," he continued. "My car's overheating. I've been trying to flag someone down for miles. You're the first one who didn't just speed off." I didn't believe him. Not fully. But something in his voice made me hesitate. He kept his distance. No sudden moves. The longer he talked, the more human he sounded. Still, I didn't open the door. I cracked the window a little more and said, "You shouldn't be following people like that." "I know," he said quickly. "I know. I'm sorry." I didn't know what else to do. He told me his name. Told me he was trying to get home after a late shift. Said his temperature gauge shot up on the highway and he panicked. As he talked, I watched his body language, looking for anything off. His hands were shaking, not in an aggressive way but like someone running on fumes. That's when I noticed something else. The smell. Burnt coolant. Hot metal. It drifted up even from where I sat. That's when I realized his hood was smoking lightly in my mirror. The fear didn't vanish, but it shifted. Now it wasn't just about me. It was about what happens if you leave someone stranded out here in the dark. I stayed in the truck. I didn't invite him close. But I grabbed my flashlight, stepped down carefully, keeping the door between us. We talked from a distance. I told him I'd call roadside assistance for him on my phone, that I couldn't let him use my truck or get too close. He nodded, relief washing over his face like he'd been holding his breath for an hour. While we waited, we stood there in that quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hear every sound, crickets, the faint hiss from his engine, my own breathing. I realized how close I'd come to either driving away or making a much worse decision based on fear alone. The tow truck showed up about 30 minutes later, lights flashing like a small miracle. The man thanked me over and over, voice cracking. I nodded, climbed back into my cab and pulled away without another word. Back on the highway, the road felt different. Wider. Emptier. My hands were still shaking even miles later. I kept replaying it in my head, every decision, every second. How easy it would have been to assume the worst. How dangerous it could have been if I'd been wrong in the other direction. I finished the run that morning, delivered the load, did the paperwork like nothing had happened. But that night stayed with me. Even now, when I see headlights sitting behind me too long in the dark, I feel it again, that tightening in my chest. Out here you learn fast that the road doesn't care. Sometimes the scariest moments aren't the ones where something bad happens, but the ones where it almost does, and you're left wondering how thin that line really is.